Welcome to Tuesday's Market SITREP here at Top Gun Options. My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. We just had a great primary live trade brief, actually a joint weekly options and primary live trade brief because I had to host the timing research trader roundtable yesterday. During our session there, we took a look at bear call spreads on Goldman Sachs and on ExxonMobil, and they in front of us, perfect calls, man. They ran right away from us, or some of you all got filled. And looked at maybe $600, $700 gains in the primary live trade brief. Take a look at Goldman Sachs. A lot of bearish news. We'll get into that. Right around here in the middle of our live trade brief, right around here, we put on a bear call spread looking to leg into an iron condor, and then we hold that. It's starting to regain here, but it's still outside of my price range. So, folks, if you're a member in the weekly options or primary live trade brief, the recording is rendering right now. We'll get that out there. But looking for Goldman Sachs. Let me go out on the radar here to remain range bound here, and also ExxonMobil. Take a look at the chart, and we'll talk about both those in a couple seconds here. Same type of thing. Look at that. Almost looks like Goldman Sachs implosion, and then nice range bound trading range here. So again, we're long Jan 19 in ExxonMobil and Goldman Sachs, and we should be trading the hell out of the front months to help reduce that cost basis. But good session this morning. And here we go. Obviously, folks, as Washington churns, we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. We got to keep this stuff on our radar, folks. If this it will be until we fix it, a national embarrassment for John McCain and all the slamming I did of John McCain last week, because the hypocrite of the lifetime award goes to John McCain. The guy shoves Obamacare down our throat, hops on a plane to go to the Mayo Clinic, right? He ain't going to no VA in Arizona. Remember the VA in Arizona, which he said's great, and all those guys died there waiting to see a doctor? That's not where John McCain's getting his medical care, because obviously all animals are equal. Some animals are more equal than others, George Orwell once said. But McCain was right on this. This was a national embarrassment from Barack Obama. Ukraine, sovereign country, was a Soviet state, gets invaded. Crimea, stop, or we'll say stop again. Him and Angela. And then they invade eastern Ukraine. Shoot down a civilian airliner, for Christ's sake. Stop, or we'll say stop again. We send them blankets and night vision goggles. That's it. James Mattis and the administration have finally said, we're going to defensive arms. They're going to start giving these guys weapons way past time. It's awful, but we got to keep this stuff on the radar, folks, because, again, for all my liberal and Democrat friends, which I don't have too many, where's the Russia collusion? Russia's already said, you arm Ukraine, it could be an act of war. Yeah, Putin and Trump are best friends, and if they are, they're doing a hell of a job showing us that they aren't, but they are. I get it. It's reverse psychology. But as Washington churns, folks, obviously yesterday, who cares about North Korea or Iran launching missiles or any of that stuff, right? We have to talk about the mooch and General Kelly and all this stuff. Folks, playtime is over. Appointing General Kelly is saying, I'm done. This is my Al Haig moment. This dude's in charge. Even my kids are going to report through him to get to me. Big deal. You know, the mooch, the mafia wannabe, go back to Comedy Central, or actually he was a CNBC guy, then went to Fox, and now, 10 days in the job, his wife left him too. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, but folks, he can't be the White House communications director and pretend that you're Joe Pesci from a casino or something like that. It just doesn't work there. So, and all the liberals like dancing on the guy's grave yesterday, and a White House in turmoil. You should be complimenting this move. It ain't going to be a White House in turmoil anymore. They're going to go after leakers, and General Kelly's in charge. So we should see a little bit of calmness, hopefully, out of the White House here. But again, President woke up this morning, had to grab his phone and say, hey, by the way, Dow 22, huge market rally. Guys, now he owns it. Kind of like not trying to own Obamacare last week. 3 rhinos voted for it, and all the Democrats, screwed us. He doesn't want to own Obamacare. He's trying to distance himself from it. But now he's attaching himself to this equity bubble that when, not if it pops, he's blowing up this huge, he's going to have bubble yum all in his hair. And it's going to rip his hair off. So when you wake up and tweet that Dow 22K today, and, look at me, the market's up, it was at 18K 6 months ago. Mainstream media seldom mentions. Well, Mr. President, one of the reasons the mainstream media seldom mentions is because presidents have very little control over the day-to-day movement of the stock market. I get it. Tax Tax reform, huge, helps. Infrastructure spending, huge, helps. Gutting Franken-Dodd with Steve Mnuchin just kind of, loosening up financial regulations, huge. It can help. Presidents can create a climate, but still, taking credit for the market being over 22K. Come on. North Korea, China. Pence was overseas in Estonia, poking China too. This was ominous yesterday before the staff meeting. We'll handle North Korea. It'll be handled. We handle everything. How? Again, folks, I'm going to be right on this. I don't want to be right, but a broken clock is right twice a day. We got to start hedging. Make sure you keep an eye on your email inbox. I'm going to maybe do a 1 o'clock or 4:30 webinar on Thursday talking about hedging this Trump rally, because we really do need to wake up here. Good news on Friday that was more or less overlooked by the media. 2.6%. Remember, I used to joke about a zero being a number. Right under Obama, we'd have a 0 and a decimal point with growth. Media wouldn't cover that either. But now that we got a 2 in front of here, and the same people that laughed at him saying 3% GDP, that ain't too far off here, man. Even Ben Bernanke was on Comedy Central a couple months ago saying 3%, the guy's smoking crack. Look at the numbers. Good earnings. We're in the third quarter, so to speak, of second quarter earnings. So maybe we got a fourth quarter to go in the ball game here of earnings. Earnings were pretty solid, folks. The second solid earnings quarter, just like I said, Q1 was going to be good. I said Q2 is going to be good as well, and we nailed it. We haven't seen this growth in 6 years. So, Chicago PMI was a week yesterday. There are some macro economic data that aren't good, and we'll get non-farm payroll on Friday, obviously. I think we're looking for, the forecast is 188. We got that blistering 222 last time. So we're seeing, we got the green shoots, we got the brown shoots, but with this mixed macroeconomic data and good earnings, in the absence of a stray bullet out of Iran or Russia or North Korea, we're going higher, okay? And oil catching a bid through 50 the other day. It's pulled back a little bit, mainly because Goldman came out today and said, hey, the Venezuela thing, even with Venezuela sanctions, it ain't going to. Oil popped above 50 with the Venezuela sanctions yesterday. Mnuchin and General McMaster coming out and saying they're sanctioning Maduro personally. But if we go after their oil, man, you might see a little bit of a big pop out of WTI and Brent here. OPEC, we laughed about this for the past couple days. OPEC has a crippling problem. Its members can't stop cheating. They can't stop pumping. And here's the math. You ready for this? This is shocking. Here it is. I finally found it today. Venezuela needs oil at 118 to balance their budget. Nigeria, 139. Look at the lowest. Iran and Kuwait are around $50 oil for them to balance their budget. They can't stop pumping because they can't afford to stop. Little do they know that if they use some capitalism 101, they would stop for a week. It might suck. They'd get a little deeper into debt, but oil would go to $150, and then all of these people would be making money. They can't do it. They can't help themselves. I'm not going to go too into depth. This is for my members only. We talked about ExxonMobil and Goldman. Goldman finds itself in an unusual spot. Last place in trading. I beat this article by 2 weeks, guys. I moved Goldman from my gold medalist to my bronze, and I moved JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley up. And here comes Goldman with this article, and then over at Seeking Alpha, sell Goldman Sachs now. Again, TGO beats the financial media and all these guys by weeks. That's why you're members here. We're going to talk about all this stuff on Thursday. Investors are hedging. Jeffrey Gunlock buying puts on the S&P 500 at VIX lows. The VIX trade nobody's talking about. The debt ceiling. VIX at record lows. The 1x2 call spread last week. $262 million bet that the VIX is going to double from 12 to 25 by October. We're going to talk about all this stuff. The wipeout scenario if the VIX spikes to 20 for all the idiots that are short vol right now. With everything going on in the world, I get it. Being short vol has been a great trade year to date. The one day it's not going to be is most likely going to wipe out any money you made being short vol year to date. So be very, very careful doing that. Don't forget, folks, go.topgunoptions.com/Tahoe to get your Tahoe tickets. I think I'm halfway full with our two dinners, the Friday and Saturday night dinners. I only got about 7 or 8 tickets left for those. So make sure you grab your Tahoe slot pretty soon as well. Okay, I got to run. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll be back with Wednesday's market sit rep tomorrow. We'll